realize there's 12 of them. So there's 3 or 6 front, 6 rear. 3 on each side. So we have some lube. And a really cool Japanese sticker that I don't know what it says. Alright, so here's what we're talking about with a rigid collar. So notice that we're putting this, the area in red, or the spot in red, we're putting a collar around the bolt, so there's no more play. Because the body and the subframe, there's some play in it, and so it can cause the the subframe to get out of alignment. And so what we're doing is we're putting these collars in between to keep it fixed in position. If that makes sense. So you can see the 6 points in the front, F1, 2, 3, and I'm sorry, that was the rear. Oh no, that was the front. And then here's the rear, position 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, so we have to disconnect our steering rack
to be able to lower the subframe.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would just hang from that.
If somebody's already right facing us, it's already a nice, pretty pink mark where it's going to go back together.
All right, I like that. Yeah. So it'd be funny if we already had rigid collars in here. We don't do it.
I was just thinking that myself, but I don't see them in there.
It'd save me some time. What I'm certain of is that the subframe has to be dropped down equally. Like a little bit at a time.
Correct.
So it doesn't bind.
Well, actually, the way that I'm going to do it is loosen the bolts. And
right.
To jack the car up and leave everything connected, and the subframe will kind of stay attached up.
Right. Right, but all 6 bolts, you kind of do a little. If it were me, I'd be pulling out one whole bolt, and then the subframe would bend, and I'd be screwed. Bill's working on just disconnecting the steering rack. So these are different size holes?
Yeah, see?
How do you know which one's which?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
Subframe bolt 1 and F1 and F2 are both the same 14mm size. And then the rear one, F3, is 12mm. And so we're going to sort of figure out that the first 2 bolts here, F1 and F2 are going to be the 14, and then F3 is the smaller one, smaller collar. Let's see the subframe dropping down. So does the subframe hold up the motor?
Somewhat. I'm gonna go get a jack right now, just to set in the middle here.
Jack in place. Big end goes down. See that hole there? That's where it's going. So there it is. Cool. Seems like not a whole heck of a lot of cool factor, but supposedly it makes a big difference. This will be the 12mm collar. I have a feeling there's going to be a spike in rigid collar sales. Jeez, that's a monster.
Okay, big end down.
That's the little one, right?
Yep. And I already put the anti-seize on this one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, they send anti-seize in the box.
See? The subframes are actually trying to go back up into a different place.
Yeah. So now theoretically, once all the bolts are in, it'll pull straight because the subframe's already out of alignment. Be interesting to see what our alignment specs look like after we...
yeah, just by doing this.
Yeah. The trick is getting it to get in there, cross-threading it now. Yeah. Take the angle out of it. Maybe.
Yep, and then maybe have the bushing actually help it find its center.
Yeah. Wow.
Especially this side too.
Some people on YouTube I like to think of it as assistant. Other people like to think of it as a douche talking, bossing people around.
Second set of eyes never hurts.
I'm gonna use my JDM anti-seize. I don't want to use any of this American junk.
Japanese anti-seize?
Yeah. JDM, yo. Whole subframe just popped in place. So we'll torque down evenly, the proper specs, and we'll have the rigid collars in the front. These are the ones I just got or ordered.
Would you get a 3/8 and a half inch?
Yep. 3/8 half inch.
These are nice because they have the torque angle. Like 90% of the stuff, the newer stuff that we work on, it's not torqued to a pound. It gives you a starting point like 30 foot-pounds, and then it's 90 degrees, and then 90 degrees.
Right.
Because it's torqued to yield, so it's the stretch of the bolt. So, like I have a little adapter that you put onto a regular torque wrench that will measure the angle, but this it's all built right into this. You just plug in the exact specs and click, click, click.
I like that.
Yep.
Our subframe specs, so we'll do that after we do the rear. All right, so the rear is a little different. You've got 2 sets of 12mm collars. Those go toward the rear, and then you got 1 set of 14. So R1 gets the bigger ones, and then R2 and 3, which are toward the rear of the car, they get the smaller collars. So here's R3 right here. Right there, so there's R2. And then here's R1 right here for the rear subframe. Sweet. And so as we drop it down, there's a gap opening up there. So we put the collars in. There's the exhaust. Right on the bolt. We need like another 5mm, so we're gonna just attach our joint here and see if this will loosen it up enough for us to be able to get it out. It's out. Boom. Anti-seize on there. Gotta make a mental note how you did this for when 6 weeks from now, when I sell the car, you can take it back apart.
It's funny, I have some customers that do that.
Oh, yeah.
They only do bolt-ons, and before they sell the car, I take everything off
yeah.
and put it all back to stock.
That's the way to go.
I guess it's the best way to make the most money back out of it.
Yeah. You don't get anything for them if you sell a car with it on it. And actually, many people would prefer it without. Yeah. Although these I would never take off. Here's our steering rack torque spec. Alright, so now we got the jacks back up over there, so we have them all relatively even, so all the bolts will go in without binding or cross-setting or anything like that. Got anti-seize on all the bolts, and then we'll come back around with the torque wrench and bring them to spec. Remind me to wipe down my exhaust.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad at myself. How many times I've done that where I get some fancy exhaust, I get fingerprints all over, I get too excited to go listen to it, and then...
Yeah, but as long as you wipe it off before, what happens is you leave it, and turn it on and bake it, and then it...
Yeah, and your fingerprints are there forever. Alright, so we got the Cusco subframe brace back in place. Finish torquing all the bolts and get everything in place. Alright, so here's our torque spec. We're 43 foot-pounds for the rear bolt, and then 85.3 in the front. The rear bolts, the one at the furthest in the back is 75.9, and then 43 in the front too. Great, you can teach me how to use this thing since I'm going to have one.
Okay, well here, then let's turn it off. So basically you have to set it and then turn it on.
So don't you have to send these things out to get calibrated every so
Well, it calibrates itself. Supposedly it calibrates itself, but
gotcha. Okay.
It already went through the calibration. It's not just trying to, but it'll tell you set still.
Right.
It doesn't want you moving it around. So
Gotcha.
and then it flashes, and now it's ready to go. So
Alright.
And what do we want, 80?
Okay, so the front two bolts would be 85.3.
How's 86? It doesn't look like it wants to go 0.3s. So 86.
That's pretty sick. I'm going to be untorquing everything I own and retorquing it just for fun. I can actually torque my lugs properly.
Yep.
And then
we were 45?
43. 85.3, 43 even.
What you do now is roll it off, roll it back on. We're just going to roll it and see where the alignment goes.
Okay. Alright, so we got the rigid collars on, the sway bar. We're going to get our initial alignment spec here before we do anything with the control arms. And get the rear dialed. Because again, the right rear has 2.1 degrees of negative camber. It's kind of odd that it slid that far out from me just moving it up and down. But this is before the spoon rigid collar spacers. 7/10, 4/10 in the front, 7.1, 5.9. And then here they are after. 0.5, 0.6, so the camber's a little bit more accurate. The toe is considerably different, so we're gonna have to work on that. And then the rear, before the spacers, 2.1, 3.7. Now we're 16th toe, 2.4, 3.4. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to